All right. You want to get started on this shit then?
3, 2, 1.
Prepare for battle, we're diving into a world unknown where legends begin. Jim, Christine, and Brian guiding the way. In Azeroth we'll conquer, there's no time to delay. Server restarted, we're ready to play. Join us now as we fight day after day. From dungeons to raids, we'll conquer it all. In the world of Warcraft, we'll never fall. Server restarted,
Welcome back to another episode of Server Restart End. It is a weekly World of Warcraft podcast hosted by three opinionated players who like to get together to discuss their thoughts about the current state of the game. My name is Jim. I'm joined by Kristen
Hello.
and Brian.
Hello.
And somebody got there ahead of the curve last night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing a little heroic rating.
Yeah. That was
Really?
me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was
it's
fun. They were a very nice group of people. I enjoyed them very much. They were the raid leader was super chill.
Not like me.
We got the final boss on the last pull. We were struggling a little bit because we had people who hadn't done it before, myself included. But I was healing, so DPS wise I wasn't as impactful, but healing certainly. But we had some baller healers in there. So that was, we had a shaman who was doing like 1.5 million healing. Like there wasn't a lot left over. It was definitely it was a lot.
It's a very good experience. It's similar, I think, to our stuff, except for the raid leader is a lot more
Very chill.
calm and collected than I get,
Yeah.
because I get frustrated sometimes.
Yeah. He was
But that's just me. So, but it was fun. It was
You
good.
don't really get frustrated to the point where maybe it's frustrating for you personally, but I
Well,
don't think
I
it
get
detracts from the experience, though.
I get mad at stupid shit, and I yell off mic and stuff.
Doesn't everybody, though?
Yeah, but it's just like you shouldn't react that way. And it's like it's instead of
It's not just a game, Jim.
it's my life. It's my life.
Oh man.
No. So they were just doing that, but I don't think anybody wants to hear about that. There's really only one thing to talk about right now.
What's that? Housing?
Yes. So a couple days ago, there was a news update post that said later that day there would be a first look at housing, and indeed, a couple hours later, a big post came out about it, about the housing system, or at least the initial groundwork for the housing system. And before we get into it, I know everybody here has read it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what
What is it about?
Brian. I want to know just high level, like how you feel about it. Like what's your initial thoughts on it before we dive into the specifics?
Are we judging what they say now, or are we judging what the reality is in the future?
I mean, I don't know the future. Do you?
I mean,
Look,
the past has shown.
I don't care what the past has shown. I don't care about the future. When you read it, what was your initial takeaway? Just your
It's going to be
initial.
badass.
That wasn't mine. But that's good. Why was that your initial takeaway?
Well, we're gonna,
It was a hell of a lot more than I even. So after those strings were picked up from the
data mined
Cataclysm,
ones?
yeah, that was super exciting because then it was kind of like suggesting that there was going to be well beyond the bullshit version that we kind of had
With garrisons.
considered, yeah, like even with Garrison and stuff like that. So that was great. But then when they started to describe the neighborhoods, and granted, like I haven't played Final Fantasy enough to really know their housing system back and front, so all this is like that all sounds very new to me. But just that by itself and the way they described how you can use it, right? Between guildmates or whatever, the neighborhoods you can create, all that stuff.
I just don't know how they're going to do that.
So, okay, well, let's go into that first then. So, Final Fantasy has wards, right? You go to the housing district, and then that's just the district, and there's so many wards, and they're all pretty much the same layout, right?
Oh, you're asking?
Yes, I'm asking.
Oh,
because
yeah,
you're
yeah.
the one that plays Final Fantasy.
Yeah, they're all the same layout, and
And
they're
you-
all, yeah.
And are there different, like, housing districts in different areas?
Yes.
Okay, so, like, one region has a housing
So there's
district.
Limsa has a housing area, Ul'dah has a housing area, Gridania has a housing area, Ishgard now, Kugani.
Okay, so they have multiple areas. So
And then they
there's-
have multiple instances of
Right.
those same areas, but they're just copies. Of
Sure,
the same
sure.
thing.
Like the ward is just whatever. And I think neighborhoods probably will be like that.
But the
Um,
way that they're making it sound is like that you're going to be able to have a neighborhood with your guild.
So
How
that's-
do you control that?
Well, I think what happens is, so it doesn't even have to be guilds. So what they said is basically neighborhoods is roughly 50 plot neighborhoods, which means players can live next to each other, work together, and share in the rewards of being part of the neighborhood, which I don't know what the rewards of being a part of the neighborhood are. Do you get to have a big block party? Who the fuck knows?
It's going to be a leveling system where it unlocks heirlooms.
Stop.
Probably. Oh God,
No, it'll
I miss heirlooms being cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do. I liked heirlooms.
Okay. That's not housing. So it says they're
Wow.
instant, but they're persistent. So you don't have to worry about like people moving it. Like you can be neighbors with people forever, right? So there's two flavors. They got the public neighborhoods, which the game servers create as needed and maintain. So as somebody goes, I guess, to go make a house in a public one, if there isn't a neighborhood, it'll create a new instance of a neighborhood and stuff like that. And then the other one is private neighborhoods, which are created by groups of friends or guilds to inhabit, progress, and customize together. So, progressing a neighborhood. I wonder what that's going to mean. I wonder if that means there'll be like neighborhood decorations or like,
An HOA.
God,
You can't decorate certain things.
your house is
Your
the
house
wrong
is
color.
the wrong color. Yeah.
You can't park that there.
Yeah.
But so I feel what that means is that you'll have an option when you want to go do it to create a group, and then other people can join that group potentially to make it a private neighborhood. I don't know if you'll be able to have a public house and have a
Private
house
house.
and a public and a private one. I don't know if you get because you only get one per account. And so they're doing like two main areas, right? Like, what did they say? Ashara type area, like
And then
Duratar and
Elwyn
Ashara, and the Elwyn
Forest
Forest,
type
which is
area.
like Westfall and Duskwood. So those are the initial ones. And you can put a house in either one, and all your characters in your warband can go to it. So you can have a Horde character in the Alliance one because your Alliance character made the house there, right? So I'm assuming it's just one house, but I don't know. I don't know how. If they're going to be able to spin up instances, they might eventually like unlock like access to create it and stuff like that. Because again, they're only starting with 2 zones initially, but there's plans to, I think, make more. So I mean, I don't know if you can have houses for different things or not. So
It seems like it would impede role playing if you're somebody who has multiple characters, right? To just have one house. because you would want to make a house for, all your characters are different, right?
Sure.
They don't have the same
Yeah.
motivations. They don't
I
have
mean,
the same
honestly, like they just let
experiences.
you like just buy houses or whatever, however,
like get a plot.
however any of
Yeah.
that works. Yeah,
I think that's fine. I think
like you could almost have your own private instance where all your characters have a house in the same neighborhood or something.
Right.
Like,
oh god, that's
Why
like
not?
that's not creepy.
you just role play by yourself.
God. Yeah, I'm not sure if you'll be able to have multiple ones or not. It doesn't really say. Oh, wait. Okay, no, it does. So in the section, they talk about a home for everyone, right? So this is funny because this is kind of like a dig at Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I definitely got that.
It's like if you want a house, you can have a house. No exorbitant requirements, no high purchase costs, no lotteries, and no upkeep. So if your subscription goes away,
you still
it
keep your
elapses.
house.
Your house doesn't get
Yeah,
repossessed.
because I'm definitely paying a mortgage in Final Fantasy.
Final
Like,
Fantasy
is
had
my-
that. Ion had that.
Yeah.
I don't think WildStar had that because I think you
where
just
it
had
goes away, like if you
like
don't-
if you don't pay, you
Yeah.
lose a
Yeah.
house.
No, you
Yeah.
didn't. Well, I don't know.
No,
I
like
I
Final
played
Fantasy.
It. Yeah.
Like if you don't
That's
make
like-
your monthly payment,
Right.
you lose the house,
Right.
and that lot goes up, and
Oh.
somebody can purchase that
Well,
lot.
What,
no,
in
no.
Ultima, on
So-
Ultima Online, you had to open the door to refresh the
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
or it would eventually like fall down.
Yes, that's what you have to do in Final Fantasy. You have to
oh,
every
30 days.
45 days, I think. So you
Oh, they
can-
extended it because of Ukraine.
No. They made it so they didn't demolish because of Ukraine, but I don't know
Oh.
that that's still going on here. They do extend it every once in a while when there's like events that affect the world where people aren't going to be able to log in. They
Yeah.
do that. But it is like, I think once every 45 days, you have to step foot inside your house. Can't just be on your property. It has to be inside your house. Otherwise, you get a demolition notice and then they demolish your home.
Ah.
Yeah.
But so immediately after that, the next sentence starts with your houses are also shared amongst your warband, with your different characters being able to come and go as you see fit.
So,
houses.
but what did
meaning-
it say? Where did it say you only get one per account?
It didn't.
Oh, you
I
were just...
I was assuming that because like the neighborhood and stuff like that, but it specifically says your houses.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
And I would assume that they went over this stuff with a fine-tooth comb as to like stop,
Yeah.
like if they didn't intend for you to have multiple houses, they wouldn't have put that there, I think.
Yeah.
So, so housing rewards are shared across your warband. So it's just like transmog, like the items you get for your decor doesn't matter. And then it says warbands. It's not just warbands that cross factional lines, but friendships as well. So you can live in or visit your friends or guildmates' houses. So I wonder if you can give friends rooms in a house.
I don't
Dude.
know that you're going to have rooms. I imagine it's going to be
Well,
just
they can
one
build-
giant room.
Well, no, I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know if you're going to start with a base house or if you just have to build it from scratch. Or if you get like different templates and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe you can allow friends like build access on your lot or something like that. Maybe. I don't know, because WildStar did that, right? Because people would hire people to come decorate their house. Like people made money in game being like house
Oh.
decorators.
They do
and
that
stuff.
in Final Fantasy too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with minimal restrictions, so there's no really like faction issues inside of the neighborhoods. So it would be like a neutral area. I would assume that it would also be like a no
PvP.
no PvP, no like damage and stuff like that. Like I don't know. It's so that's very like just that your houses right there. That's kind of like good. I really feel that that's kind of like okay, cool. So we can make a guild neighborhood. We don't have 50 people. Somebody's phone just went off because I said something, and I think it thought I
I
said
thought it was yours.
did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said Google or something. That's funny.
Hmm.
But that means that we don't have 50 people in the guild. Maybe we do. I don't know. But
I mean, that's perfect though, right? Like,
we have plenty of characters, but not that many people.
plenty of characters. But we can build up a couple of neighborhoods and stuff like that. We can do one for guilds and stuff, and but you can have friend
one
groups
for
and
all
stuff.
your Death Knights.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, Jim is just gonna have a complete
You-
Death Knight area.
Right. And that means I have to make like 23 more Death Knights to fill up a full neighborhood.
Oh my God.
They need to raise the cap on characters. I guess I'm gonna have to get another account. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to multi-box.
I do not care because I pay for Final Fantasy and WoW. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to get another account,
That would
I
be
do not care.
that would be interesting.
As long as it doesn't take away from your doing stuff on my account. Nope, that doesn't happen. Just kidding.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, so the neighborhood stuff is pretty cool. I like it so far. Outfitting the home. So it says, so this is kind of like putting stuff in. So they talk about whether, there's discussions about pay to win or pay to play or win or whatever with stuff like that. So there's, let's see, housing is designed to be primarily player first and not revenue first. So they will have hundreds and hundreds of decorations and house customizations via in-game rewards. But there will be a small number of items in the cash shop as well. So similar to how transmog and pets are currently handled in game versus the shop. So you're not going to see a majority of the stuff on the shop, which is good, but like something special, it's just kind of like, it's kind of how they did with the tokens, right? The trading post tokens. You can't buy those, but every now and then there's a bundle that has them, so.
Yeah, there is.
So, I mean, and that's not too bad, Yeah. Again, I don't know what type of decorations there's gonna be, but yeah, I don't know. This is intended to be evergreen content, and this is, I think this is a good, they're sharing the process of their thoughts behind it, and they're going to get feedback from it, and maybe there will be changes based on it, and maybe there won't. I don't know, but I feel that it's a step in the right direction, because this is intended to be evergreen content. It'll create jobs for people to create art assets for new stuff, right? There's going to be all kind of new stuff. This is a whole new system. You're going to have that. You're going to have, and if you can allow other people build access in your stuff, maybe there will be jobs for, home decorators kind of, thing. Maybe not quite like some of the other games and stuff like that, but it remains to be seen.
I would like there to be a robust system where you can clip assets into things to make new other assets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stack things
like
on
stack
together.
things together. Please, for the love of God, do not put an item limit. Oh my God, please do not put an item limit in the fucking.
So, I mean,
because that just stifles creativity. I know people are like, oh, it just makes it so you're you have to be more creative.
No, that's not.
It's annoying.
That's a different type of creative.
Yeah.
Right? That's how do I get past the limitations and do stuff, not how do I express myself.
Yeah.
I feel that the build.
You're talking about the limit of stuff you'd have in the house?
How many items that you can spawn in your house. But that's going to be interesting to think about, because if the neighborhood has all the houses there and it's just open and you can see everything, and the inside of the house isn't instanced, but is just a interactable building like it is in, was it Ultima Online? Did it instance you when you went in, or the Star Wars one?
Oh yeah, no, they're wide open to the world.
But when you go into the house, it's not like you're zoning into a different thing. It's there. It's once you're on the planet or in the area, that house is there. Whereas in Final Fantasy, when you go into the house, it zones you in, right?
Yeah. I will
And
say the
sure,
one
it
in- the
zones you
one in-
into a different thing. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying though. But if like they're setting up these neighborhoods with 50 houses and each house is not like taking you into like an instance, but it's just like what you've built, then limits are going to be maybe not as big a deal because of there's 50 houses there. There's 50 plots. So, I mean, that's not the same thing as like having a confined instant. I don't know. We'll have to see this is definitely something.
I would think that you would think about that the other way around. Like, because if you load in your instance of a neighborhood and there's tons and tons of stuff, this was actually an issue that Ultima Online had before computers like bumped up quite a bit in
Where it, like,
performance.
where it rendered everything and it would.
Yeah, because everything has is like render circle. Even in that, like not even your full screen was a render circle, I think. But once you got there, sometimes it would just take a while for all, because in Ultima you could stack things up.
Yeah.
Right. And they would create they created fish tanks from different colored cloth
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Like this makes it look like other things. And so you would walk in this area and it would just load, like layers of stuff at a time. So, but in this case, I wouldn't think that would be an issue as much. Like even in Star Wars Galaxies, I think if I recall correctly, like they did have a render circle that was very small, meaning like if you were walking through a town, like the stuff that you can see where you should be able to see, you're not going to see because their render circle is so small.
Yeah.
And so like I think it was the same way for the house. When you open the door to the house, like you just walk in. But I think if I recall correctly, like everything was just streamed in constantly, right? And meaning like if something was placed in the house, it loads it when you go into the house. It's not loaded on the outside where like it might be bogging down your client because it's trying to keep up with all the things going on in your render
I just
circle.
thought of something.
What?
So what if they use the airlock technology that they built? Like when you go into Zerlak Cavern, where like once you cross the threshold, you've zoned in, but it's not.
That actually wouldn't
Like
be
a
a bad idea,
like a-
honestly.
but
It's
seamless.
still instanced. It's still instanced, though.
It
yeah.
is, yes, but it's not a loading screen instance.
Right.
You know, which
I
is
actually
kind
think
of
that
like
would be fine.
it's kind of weird how you would do that though, because maybe I don't know. Because like, what do you do with the instance you just left? Is it still visible? Do you still like capture like an image and like what you would see out the door? Like I don't know. I don't know how that. I don't know how.
What do
it
you
would-
mean?
Okay, so Zerlak Cavern is like a mini instance. Like the tunnels are like mini instances between the upper world and the cavern. So when you enter it, it like kind of phases you into that. And at some point, you no longer can see the outside or the cavern, and you're in the tunnel. And then at some point, you cross the threshold where now you can see the inside and a part of the tunnel. But walking through a door that's not very deep, right? Where is that boundary? And like,
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah, no. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's the way Star Wars Galaxies was. As soon as you walk in the door, then items start loading in the house because the items are placed by you, right? So they're not
Right.
like static to the server necessarily. It has to find all that stuff, and so I would think that would be the good key there because you're in the house. So you don't need to worry about what's outside at that point, unless they come up with balconies and stuff like that. And that's a whole different story.
yeah,
I
mean, we'll see.
But
You know,
I think that's a great idea though, because then you can have like big fancy neighborhoods and shit like that, and then
Mhm.
not have to worry about so much hit on performance.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. I mean, modern computers, pretty beefy, right? And I don't know how, because maybe once it's placed, it change. I don't know how they're going to do it, because like everything's still an individual item, and maybe
I mean, the
once
cool thing is though, like you look back, like even Dark Age of Camelot had housing, right?
Yeah.
And they were the ones with like big servers and shit like that back in the day. All kinds of games that done housing. So hopefully, like they should have their own take on it, obviously, but problems have been solved already.
yeah,
And they don't need to skate around corners and do it the Blizzard way by accident because
Well,
They're
and
trying to
that's the
solve it
thing, right?
themselves.
It's like there is plenty of data out there for how to do this. Plenty of
Right.
games have done something similar to this, and so they can figure some stuff out. One of the things too is that it's like you were talking about, Kristen, the ability to put stuff wherever, and it's like that's one of the pillars that they have in there is like the boundless self-expression, and it's like they want players to build a house that shows off their own personal taste or their warbands, acting as a desired backdrop for whatever, blah, blah, blah. So the tool set, they said, should be easy enough for someone with no 3D experience to be comfortable with, but it also should be powerful enough for players that can surprise with the creations or drill down to get the tiniest details right. So to get tiny details right, like, I don't know. I don't know if that means like moving stuff in, kind of like overlapping things inside of things, because you only want part of something visible.
It's such an ignorant way to. When I read that, it was very ignorant, right? Because
What do you mean?
the whole 3D trying to understand like 3D blah blah blah. It's fucking not complicated
Well,
when you can move
not,
something in
yeah.
3 directions
Yeah.
and you decide whether or not it can fall with gravity. Like people aren't going to be burdened by this that want this, right? People that are going to invest in time in it, they're not going to like be burdened by the fact that you can move things up and down and around. You do it in your life all the fucking time, right? So to
yes.
state it that way is such a weird, ignorant
Well,
way to
I don't know.
say it.
I don't know. It's I think what it is I don't know how the Final Fantasy controls are. I don't know if you get like the 3 rings for the different axes and all that stuff, and up and down, left and right, scaling and all that stuff. It's like 3D tools to like do like 3D manipulation on objects is not something that.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be talking about that at all. Like
I think what they're-
objects should never scale for sure, right?
Why not?
Objects should.
No,
What if you
they
want
the
should. What if you want to?
a
What if
bigger
you
rug?
you like a rug, but you
Then
want
they
a
should
bigger
make different size rugs as a thing that you
No.
can make and sell and all that
rug.
stuff.
Or you could just scale it yourself, and then they don't have to worry about making multiple assets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you make it.
I would rather have the other way though, because then it's more investment from a community perspective,
But what about a window? What if you want a big window, or like what if like you like this picture, right? And it's the picture of the bowl of fruit, right? Because obviously we're not going to get the good pictures in the game. It's going to be the shitty ones that they replaced it with. So you want to hang up your nice, sexy bowl of fruit, but it
there's
doesn't-
just is there scaling in Final Fantasy?
There is not.
Like these- I say these other other stuff like that. Even if you go look at like the
I
Sims
wish
and shit,
there was. The Sims has scaling.
it does.
Yes, because I use it to great effect in The Sims. Yes, The Sims has
Huh.
scaling. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Final
I
Fantasy
think
doesn't.
maybe
It's frustrating.
I guess when I was
a
talking about the
limit.
3D, the 3D thing, I really wasn't considering scaling at all in that
But
case.
I'm thinking about like, what if you wanted to build something like when you get shrunk in Karazhan, and you want giant stacks of books, like you've been shrunk down like an Alice in Wonderland type effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? That's-
cool.
That would be,
Yeah.
like I live with the rats in Karazhan in the library, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's like that. You wouldn't say, okay, well, I need so and so to craft me a giant book.
Oh God! Don't even get me started
it'd be
about that crafting shit.
Consider inscription and enchanting and what you could do with something like that, right? Like, you have to make this type of book from inscription, and then the enchanting has to increase the size of it. Like, that's such a.
Okay.
I know it gets tedious at a certain point, but then you're talking about opening up more of a bigger model for a community instead of
yes.
just combat based, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
no.
opportunity there.
The crafting stuff did not work out, I think, the way they intended it to.
It's terrible.
It's not as like when they limited the ability to request ranks on public orders and limit how many public orders you can do. It's not a good system. You're still going in and you're looking for somebody in trade chat to craft your shit because you want the max thing. It's like
But you have to consider that like when it comes to itemization for improving your DPS in a raid spot, that has so much different of influence than say like there's this type of rug and I know that there's only going to be a select few people that
I
can make it.
got the solution for that. You got neighborhoods for houses. You make bazaars. You make bizarre neighborhoods where people can set up shops for their craft.
Oh, that would
So-
be awesome.
And then you create an actual, like Final Fantasy has something like that, right? I mean, you can just craft wherever, but like if you were to make a place where you could get a stall and set up like your blacksmith shop, and you could go in there and work.
They don't have that in Final Fantasy.
No, they don't. But I mean, but they got like the bulletin board where you post it and stuff. If they got rid of the grades on things and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so that it wasn't like
EverQuest literally had a bazaar. You had to take the items that you wanted to sell. You had to go to the bazaar zone, and you had to sit down on like a rug, and then open your sell window or whatever, and leave your character there.
Ion had something like that where you would open up a shop and you would put your stuff in.
Personal shops.
And people were
private shops.
using it to stay online.
Circumvent the
They would put
AFK.
shit in there
Yeah.
that you couldn't buy because it was so expensive. Nobody had stuff. And so they would just sit there and
Yeah.
stay online. It was funny.
Yeah.
Why?
It was annoying.
Because they didn't want their character to get logged out for whatever reason.
When it was launched, they had ridiculous
Queues and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
It was a way to
they-
circumvent getting kicked for
Yes.
inactivity.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that if you scrapped the crafting system as it was and turned it into a searchable list of vendors, and you could go to like that instance of the bazaar, go find that shop and talk to them or whatever, you could see that the shop's open, the shop's closed. You could make an entire fucking role playing community or
Yeah.
even a whole fucking commerce thing if you put something in there and you had shop hours
Yeah.
and people went in and did stuff. And like
Well,
that
I
could be-
wonder if people could even do that instead of taking an alt and making a house. They make shops, and then you just go to. That would be cool.
I mean,
you couldn't.
that's the
you
way
could actually buy
so
stuff.
Ultima and then Star Wars too, I think, had it the same way where you could place vendors.
Yeah.
Ultima had where you could place vendors on your house and put stuff on there to sell. I think Star Wars Galaxies is the same thing too.
You can, I think, do that in Final Fantasy. I don't, but I think you can put mannequins out where you can sell things, or you can put things out. I don't do it because I have no need to, but
yeah. But I do think that like having like a shop or like a central like shopping plaza type thing where people can set up shops.
that would be very cool.
And,
that
you
would
know-
be really cool.
That's the next thing if you can do housing like this,
Yeah.
because then you can take Brian's idea and you get like specially crafted decor items so it's a new crafting class
Yeah.
where you can customize like colors for like 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 cosmetic gear and stuff like that. You could get patterns for it. You could work to unlock special patterns and stuff like that and become really good at your craft.
Yeah.
And then like you can be like, well, I'm the only one that can make this, or it's like you can change all the colors and stuff like that.
The only thing that I hesitate with that is like when you said I'm the only one that can make this. The other day sucked needed a belt made,
right.
and I had to go into like there was no place I could go. I couldn't just craft it myself. I had to literally sit there and trade chat and impede my progress and stuff that I was doing, trying to
You're right.
find somebody to craft that fucking thing for me. That is so annoying.
yeah,
like,
it should
Well,
be.
the shitty thing is like the community is just not tuned to do that way.
No, they're not.
right? That would be such a great way to experience the fucking game, to be honest.
Not when
But
it's
it's just
late
not-
game though.
No,
and nobody's
he's
doing
he's,
it.
No, no.
he's saying what
Oh.
he's not talking about what you said.
I said okay. Sorry.
Right. He's talking about what we're talking about, like having like this
Yeah.
open interchange of shop. And you're right. Maybe not have somebody like specialized one thing, but maybe somebody has better prices and you can, you control like the auction house, right? You control, you make yourself available more often. You have better hours that, you
Well,
have a certain
you have to
market.
consider like when you look at this, like everything about WoW is just gearing up and then finishing something, and that's it, right? And
Yeah.
then like when you put the auction house, like, and it's always been there. That's fine. Like I guess in the beginning when it was like cut off to Ogrimmar and Ironforge,
Yeah.
like there was a little bit of an incentive to
now it's on a
be
mount.
more community based.
No,
But like, yeah,
something.
it's even on the mount. So like now you have anything that you possibly fucking need at your fingertips almost all the time. Like there's no There's no reason to do anything community based to drive that forward,
the
right?
only community based stuff to do is dungeon raids, PvP, and I mean maybe dells. I don't know, but you know,
and
what I mean?
even
It's
that has like such sticky points that have people come and go, right? Like people don't get along. It gets tough. People get pissed off. It's rated. It's all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
like housing is so much different in that case because then you have like
housing,
just literally people expressing themselves and people specializing in certain ways. Like
it's the RP of the RPG.
Yeah.
It really is because there's no end game benefit to it. Absolutely not.
Yeah. It's just
the only thing
if you want to do it.
Is like end game could benefit housing with like special like Queen Asarak's head or something like that, like like to put on your thing, or like a Nixia's head, like you could put Nixia's head in your yard or some shit like that instead of an ogre.
Instead of turning it in, you'd actually just hang it up.
Stuff like that. That's the opposite of what it is. And then now you're playing the game to fund your role playing side or your creative side and all that stuff because there is, maybe it'll be a ghost town. You know what I mean? Maybe the only place you're going to see shit like this is on the fucking RP servers and like Moonguard where people are doing like brothels and shit like that. That could be really, that's going to fucking happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely going to happen. And the only problem with that is that kids do play this game.
Yeah, that is.
And so I don't know what kind of safeguards they're going to put into that. And, what it is what it is. It's going to happen. It happens now. There's no safeguards around it now. It's like you have no idea who you're fucking talking to, when you're doing this shit. So you don't know if you're fucking doing that shit with a minor or not. So, I don't know. It's a very dangerous line to walk, so to speak.
Well, Final Fantasy has that problem as well.
Yeah, every game does.
They have, because it's such a community, because they do have a pretty thriving social community where people don't necessarily play the game to do end game stuff. I don't, but I also don't play it to do RP either. I just go in and do other things. But there's, if you look up the party finder, there's venues, right?
Yeah.
Dance clubs, there's,
think about that.
More risque stuff, less risque stuff,
Dude, this housing shit has just opened up that door that you talked about, like venues.
Yeah.
Like they need to add in bards. Or the like musical instruments in the game, like Final Fantasy has,
like Final Fantasy
where
has.
you can play music and stuff like that.
I love
they need to do it like
that.
Rust did. Did you see what Rust did with their instruments and stuff?
No.
They like you can have bands and everything. It's crazy. It's Rust too, like that game of all games. Like it's so cool.
You could have bands in Final Fantasy too.
Yeah, because you can have different instruments.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You can pick guitar strings or drums and all that stuff. So you can play all different kinds of stuff.
People play, like, it's crazy. Like, I went to, it's like, Lollapalooza, or, you know what I mean? Like those music festivals, right? Like, I don't think anybody remembers what Lollapalooza was. Is it still going on? I don't know.
I think so. It's not. It was like in the 90s, I think it started. Yeah.
Really?
But anyway,
There's plenty other Paloozas
they have
going on.
entire days, an entire weekend where they print up like schedules and everything. You go and you see different band. It's so much fun, and it's just listening to what people do, and some people do.
Can you imagine if they put in a robust system? Like if they put in a music composition system, like a simple one where you could just say, okay, cool. Like I'm going to set up, you can hire a band, right? And you can program songs and like, it will just play it, and stuff like that. And you could say, okay, I want these guitar chords and this bass, like stuff like that. And you could have the great Torn Chieftains come and rock out your house. Have a house party.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Or was it ETC, Epic Torn Chieftains?
I don't remember.
It was the character from fucking Heroes of the Storm. But anyway. Yeah. So there's a lot that this can open up. This can open up a whole completely different end game, if you want to call it that, for WoW. And it's not end game because it's an evergreen thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a completely different side. It could attract more players who don't give a shit about doing raids and dungeons and all that stuff, unless it's like, because fuck it, right? If you don't have anything to do with that, as long as you level a character in an expansion or two, you can go farm that shit if you want. Or, if somebody gets a drop, they can sell it. You do something else to, buy it or whatever. Like on the auction house kind of thing. I don't know.
It's just funny the way you said that. Do something else to, buy it.
Okay. Well, I wasn't trying to imply anything there. But yeah, I think it opens up a whole new avenue for this game, like a whole new thing. And it's bringing, I think, the RPG element back to it. I think, it's not just an MMO now. It's going back to being an MMORPG, because I think maybe not so much gameplay wise, but at least community wise, right? I think it's going to bring, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it, and you're going to see a lot of people, at least for a month or two, come in and play the game to check it out.
Get excited.
How dare you?
You're welcome. I'm 10 billion% sure.
She's quoting an anime that I can't stand, Brian. That's what she's doing.
What?
Dr. Stone. It's just so, ugh. It's so goofy. Anyway, I think that I don't know. I think that we've got a good path ahead for this. I feel that it is going to be interesting. I can't wait for more information on this. I don't know. I'm excited. I am. I think that this is a good direction, and I feel that they have got some pretty good foundational stuff in the works. I sure, maybe things are going to work out exactly the way they intend them, but I mean, we'll see.
No, it's a good step forward, I think. I want to the greatest part of what I remember from Ultima Online is once you could actually afford to buy your house deed and then actually find a place to place it somewhere in the world, it was such a oh, this is awesome, and then the feeling of going at, you're at your house, you have your chest full of shit, and then you go out and you then you go find brigand camps and stuff like that, and just go kill them, loot, and bring it back home, drop it in. If you found magical items, you could put it on a vendor if you had a vendor, and try to hope that one person runs by your house.
Let me tell you
unless you're like me and you live on the fire island next to all the demons, and then that's just a death trap. But
let me tell you this: if they put storage in the house for warband stuff, in addition to the bank, it'll probably just be access to your bank, honestly. But if they put an additional way to have storage there,
that would be awesome.
Oh God, yeah. And then
there's no reason not to.
Well,
screw the bank. Make the bank limited. Then turn it all into the house storage stuff. You know what I mean?
well, you don't want to turn. You can't cut it off for people that don't want to do the house.
No, not cut it off. Don't cut it off. Leave it the way it is. Right. The bank is limited. You put so many bags in, boom, that's it.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? Because if you add all that stuff to the housing
then
stuff,
it feels necessary.
Then it becomes a necessary thing, right? It's now you have to have a house because you have to get the stuff for storage because you know what I mean?
It's always going to be like that, though. That's not fair to say, because it will always be that way, because that's the type of game WoW is.
Yeah, there might be a middle ground they can do with it where it's not.
I mean, my point is please don't not put that awesome feature in because you think that it's going to drive people down a certain way. Okay, then make that mistake. I think it's worth it.
I mean, sure, we think it's worth it, but I don't know.
I mean, well, my fear would be oh, well, it's going to drive people there. It's going to drive people out of towns. Do all these things. Okay, you do that anyways with some of your stupidest features. Just do it this certain way and try it instead in a more intentional way, right? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I got you. I don't know. So, I don't know. I personally feel we're doing good. I think that we've covered pretty much everything they've talked about for it. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough. It's, it's like the little nuggets, nice little nuggets that that are
Now we
seeds.
just have to wait 7 to 11 months.
It's what?
Is the
end of this
is the
year, next year?
expansion coming? It's coming out this year. Is the expansion coming out this year?
Let me look and see.
I hope not.
I thought I had read something about that, but I'm like, what? No way.
Let me look at the 2025 roadmap. Oh yeah, no. Like 11/27 comes out winter, or like late autumn, early winter, and then that's when they got the housing thing. So I'm wondering if that's when pre-patch is going to be at the end of the year. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, the expansion reveal is the end of summer for midnight, and then I feel like 11/27 is the last content patch, because that's when the new content and the system updates happen, is the end of fall. So yeah, we're looking at the end of this year.
That's interesting.
Does that mean we're only having 2 seasons? No, season 3 is 11/2. Never mind. This is in the summer. It means we're not having a season 4, which means that they're trying to get rid of that gap, maybe?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like-
You're on season 1 right now, right?
Yeah, season 2 starts with 11/1. Season 3
And you'll
starts
have
with
season
11/2.
3.
Right, but like you remember how they had like the
Oh, I
season
see.
4, like in Dragonflight, they had the
Yeah.
one where the whatever they call it, Awakened or whatever. I don't know,
Right,
that's
right.
like that weird 4th season that wasn't quite a season, but it
Yeah.
was, but it was like everything was like overpowered and like the raids were bumped and all that stuff. Like all the raids were back in and all that stuff. So I don't know. It seems like they're kind of condensing some of that stuff, so there's less downtime. Which we'll see.
I was trying to find the damn roadmap again, but I think I found the old one maybe.
Here, I'll send you the link. Let me put it in our group chat if you want to look at it. There you go. But
Thanks.
I think this is a good place to wrap up. We've been sick over here, so my voice is trying not to like die and cough a lot. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I think that this was a pretty good discussion. We covered a lot of things, a lot of good ideas. You guys can take that crafting idea and run with it. Give us some bazaars.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I mean, if you're gonna start doing this shit, it's like, why not just go the whole way?
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it and run with it. So anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Sorry things have been kind of sporadic. We'll try to get a little bit better about our recording schedule, but life happens.
yeah.
So you're going to have to deal with it. So anyway, thanks for listening. Catch you guys next week. Bye.
Hi.
Bye.